Hi guys, I am here today with this. This is the 2025 Aston Martin DB12 Volante. Let's get into it. Okay, so as you may guess, the DB12 is the follow-up to the DB11. I drove both versions of that car, both the V8 and the V12. You can see my review here, but the DB12 is a little bit different for many, many reasons. Let me tell you more. Okay, so if you know anything about this vehicle, you know it's very controversial. My car friends are always like arguing, oh, it's not a GT, it's not a supercar, it's $300,000. I don't get it. Like, whatever, I'd rather get this, I'd rather get that. Sure, go ahead, do that. But I'm gonna give you a couple of great reasons why this special car should be your next buy, if you can afford it. First of all, let's just get this out of the way. No, DB12 does not have a 12-cylinder engine. I guess I know that's what you're wondering. It's kind of contradictory, right? You think DB12 and the DB11 had the V8 and the V12, which was a beast, by the way. But this engine is a little bit different. Okay, so under the hood, I've got a 4-cylinder V8. That's twin turbocharged. That comes from AMG, which is very special, obviously, for Aston to do that. It's producing about, wait for it, 671 horsepower and 590 foot-pound of torque. So it goes from 0 to 60 in 3.6 seconds. It's got a top speed of around 202 miles per hour. That's all exciting stuff, right? So why is this thing so controversial? So, you know, people love to say like, oh, it's not a GT, it's not, you know, because it's not smooth enough and it's too powerful to be a GT, like that's a thing. Or, and it's not a supercar because it's, you know, it's not, it doesn't have the sub 3 second 0 to 60 time. Oh, shut up. My thing is, this car is beautiful. It drives beautifully. The guys at Aston are calling this a super tour, right? Instead of a grand tour or a supercar, the super tour, which is the best of both worlds. Yeah, sure, okay, fine. I don't think we should worry about what category this car goes in. I think what we should focus on is what is great about this car. And if it's not for you, fine, go spend your 300 grand somewhere else. There are a couple of reasons why I'd like to convince you otherwise. That was just one of my neighbors stopping me to tell me how beautiful this car is. If you're gonna drive this, you're gonna have to get used to that. Honestly, it's like, I was stuck in traffic on the 405, had my top down, which is probably my first mistake. And all these people are just rolling up to me, rolling down their windows. One guy almost crashed into me. Just to tell me how beautiful the car is. How beautiful the color is, how beautiful the design is, wanting me to rev the engine. Let me tell you, I live in Los Angeles, you guys. This is the 405 freeway. I was surrounded, it was a Saturday, I was surrounded by supercars. Nobody's talking to them. They're talking to the Aston Martin. You know why? Because it's special. Because you don't see this car every day. Because it's driven by design, not just money and speed. Of course, this is expensive, and of course it goes fast, but there's an elegance to this car that has just almost been lost in automotive, which makes this vehicle really special. Okay, I'm going to get off my freaking soapbox. Okay, so let's talk about the Volante-ness of it all. So Volante comes from an Italian word, which means light and movement, I guess. So that's in reference to the convertible top. And this is something that Aston started using in 1965 with the beautiful DB5 convertible. So they added Volante to it to indicate that it was a convertible. So obviously DB12 Volante is the convertible DB12. And there's also the DB12 coupe. A lot of cars these days have drive modes. Aston approaches this in kind of a different approach. So instead of drive modes, selectable powertrain calibrations. That's a fancy way of saying you can adjust the drive mode, but you're not just, changing the way the exhaust sounds or the way the exhaust is pumped into the interior of the vehicle. You actually are, calibrating some of this stuff. So you have 4 different modes, which are GT, wet. So good. Go ahead. Put your jokes in the comment. I don't, I'm with you. It's all right there, right? Okay. Wet, GT, Sport, and Sport Plus. Anyway, so all of those drive selectable things you can select for your exhaust, the steering, the suspension, and the drive, which is really fantastic. It's a little annoying because you can't do it on the fly like the other Astons. You can do those on the fly. There's like a big knob here. But it's great that you can adjust all of those, because I found that the Sport Plus mode was a little too aggressive for me. I was more of a sport person, but if I wanted to show off, I could put it in Sport Plus. Like if I took a couple friends for a ride and, I changed some of those calibrations to show them what this thing is capable of. Okay, so speaking of what this thing is capable of, there are a few things that are really different than the DB11 that are noticeable. For me, it's just a lot more aggressive. And I mean that in the best possible way. I like an aggressive car. I'm an aggressive person, obviously. I don't want anybody passing me on the freeway. If I want to get in that lane, I'm going to get it. And with this vehicle, I sure could. What was great about that was the steering was so incredibly precise, in a way that the DB11 never was. That's just a fact. So what I was able to achieve in this car was far more impressive than what I could achieve in the DB11, which is an elegant, beautiful vehicle. But this certainly outperforms the DB11. Is it smooth? Oh God. Nothing more fun than watching the cars in front of you go over a bunch of bumps, and they're watching their cars go up and down, and you're like, what bump? I didn't have that. That's how and that is luxury, right? That's luxurious, having all of these beautiful touch points, not feeling how awful the world is, and just being stuck in your little leather cocoon. Whew. All right, so if we're going to compare this to other vehicles, a lot of people mention 911 turbo. Yes, of course, because the numbers are similar, and the price point. And then other people like to talk about the Bentley Continental GT, right? So that's a GT, and obviously we're dealing with that level of luxury. But there is that nice combination of the both. And unlike other supercars or pretentious cars, you really could use this as a daily driver. I got groceries in this. As I told you, I sat on the 405 in traffic. I drove it in the rain. I did all kinds of stuff that you're not supposed to do with a car like this, and I had a great time. I loved every minute of it. Is it fun getting out of this car? Yeah, it is. It's not easy, but it's fun. I'd also like to point out these 21-inch forged wheels, my yellow brake calipers, and my ultra-responsive ceramic disc brakes. So I had to drive because it was rainy a little bit, so I had the top up. It wasn't annoying. The visibility was a little meh, but with those 8 layers of insulation, the sound was great. Like, I didn't hear a bunch of sound. It didn't feel cold. It felt like, this is a well-insulated vehicle, which obviously it should. And this stack, once it's stacked in back, it takes up 10.25 inches, which, isn't a lot, but I'll show you what that means for the trunk in a second. And so in terms of folding time, it takes 14 seconds to open, 16 seconds to close. It can close up to around 31 miles per hour, and with headwinds around, 30 miles per hour as well. And also using the remote, you can open and close this within 6.5 feet or 2 meters of the vehicle, which is kind of nice if you want to kind of show off in a parking lot.
All right, so this seat, it's really comfortable. Guys, sorry, hold on. Let me turn off my engine. Does my engine noise annoy you? Is this seat comfortable? Yes, it is. Is it as comfortable as some other cars in this price point that I've driven? Mercedes? No, because I always want those dynamic bolsters. I absolutely love those. As someone whose back gets thrown out because I'm such an aggressive driver, I love dynamic bolsters. If I could change one, the first thing I change in my Aston would be I would put dynamic bolsters in it. But these handcrafted seats are just so gorgeous. So the seat is really beautiful. It's like sitting in a high-end handbag. Oh my God, all those that hand-stitched leather. It's really, really beautiful, you guys. This leather, of course, is an upgrade. No one's gonna complain about sitting in the front seat of the Aston Martin. Of course, unless you're my husband, who is like, why can't I drive the Aston? I'm like, because you're not Motorhead Mama. Shut up, give me the keys. But you know, that was kind of fun. I took him for a ride though. Throw him a bone, you know, because he washed it for me.
Okay, guys, this is supposed to be a 4-seater, but honestly, come on now. It's not a 4-seater. You're not gonna put anybody back there. No, you're gonna put a shopping bag back there or your big fat luxury handbag that's worth $5,000. I don't know, I don't own these things. But yeah, that's what's gonna happen in the back seat. Maybe you put your grandkids back there, your dog, maybe, but people, it's not a thing. Let's look at this. Some of the things that are new in this vehicle are the, there it is. This 10.25-inch touchscreen. And it's the first year that Aston has used their own technology from scratch in the vehicle. I like Apple CarPlay, and that it has that too, so that's good. It has Apple CarPlay, that's wireless, as well as Android Auto. Fantastic. This Bowers & Wilkins sound system, you guys, oh my Lord have mercy. Fantastic. It's a upcharge, of course, because that's how life works. But it's got 15 speakers, and it's obviously got this sort of centrally placed, I think that's a subwoofer. I don't know, I'm not an audio expert, but it sounds amazing. So that's really great. All of this stuff behind the wheel, I absolutely loved. I loved how I could sit here and drive, right? Let me put my hands here and do things like, adjust the music, right? Adjust the drive mode, all of this stuff right here. I don't have to lean forward. I'm not trying to find the button. It's all right here. There are really nice knobs here that make it all easy to use. You've got your seat warmers here, seat coolers as well. Of course, they had to throw a wrench in the works and put your steering wheel warmer down here, which is like, and then you flip it up. Like, really? Was it so hard to just put it here with all the other warming things? I don't know. I thought that was silly. Digital dash, obviously. We've got, obviously, digital tachometer. And obviously, not obviously, but you can change all of that in here in this system here. I found this a little difficult to use, if I'm honest. You can adjust your volume here. This is your adaptive cruise control. Speaking of which, let's talk about some of the safety things going on. So you've got a lane keep assist, which I really liked. Half the time that really annoys me. Of course, I always turn off the automatic stop start because nobody wants that. And then it's got automatic emergency braking. We've got a 3D surround view, which is great. So think about when you park your Aston. Now, you don't want anybody
you know, you want to know that you parked well because you don't want anybody making fun of you. But you also want to know that you're not too close to anybody and no one's going to scratch your vehicle. Fantastic. You can also turn off your parking beep, beep, beeps, the sensors, which I don't know why you do that, but maybe someone likes to do that. And then, of course, I can put it in manual mode and then use these bad boys. There's also hands-off detection. Who would take their hands off the steering wheel of this beautiful car? I don't know, but apparently somebody might do that. Like I said, autonomous emergency braking to keep you safe in this Aston. All right, guys, so what's the verdict? Here's my thing. Why do you buy an expensive car? You think it's beautiful. It makes you smile. It's fun to drive. Check. And maybe it'll be collectible. And with a vehicle this special, the DB12, in my opinion, is a car that will be collectible because it defies categorization. Plus, it's an Aston Martin. So gorgeous. Let me know what you think in the comments. There you have it, 2025 Aston Martin DB12 Volante. I'm Motorhead Mama. Thank you so much for watching, and please press that subscribe button. See you next time.